Hi, welcome to Living Lean and Green with Stacy D. Tonight I'm going to make baked spaghetti squash and spinach with cheese. This is adapted from a video that one of the followers in our Facebook group, Angie, tagged me in, asked me if I could figure out a way to make this lean and green. It's a recipe from skinnytaste.com. So I've done the best I could here. First we're going to make sure we have the oven preheated to 375. And I have a cast iron skillet here on low heat. Into that I'm going to add a tablespoon of butter, which is 2 healthy fats, and I'm going to add a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, which is 3 healthy fats. This is going to be a casserole that's going to have 6 servings. You will need to add an additional lean to this meal and a little bit of a green to this meal to make this a complete lean and green meal. You could serve, you could serve a, it's going to have 13 greens in the whole recipe, and it's going to serve 6 people. So it's a little bit shy of your 3 by about a third, so you could have just a little bit of salad or green beans or something like that. I'll put some suggestions on the Facebook group where I post the actual recipe and all the ingredients with that. To this, I'm going to add 1/2 cup of chopped green onions, and that is 1 green. And I'm going to cook those for a few minutes until they start to soften and caramelize just a little bit. I chose green onions for this recipe instead of the onions that originally called for, because onions are a condiment in the Lean and Green Optavia guide, and green onions we can actually count as one of our vegetables. So we'll let those cook for a few minutes. While that's doing this thing, I'm going to tell you a little bit more of the ingredients that are going to go into this dish. I have 2 cups of plain unsweetened almond milk that counts as 2 condiments, 1 cup of fat-free low-sodium chicken stock, 4 tablespoons of light cream cheese, and then we're also going to have salt and pepper to season this. Get those over here. We're going to have 8 ounces of reduced fat shredded cheese. This is a Mexican style blend, Monterey Jack, cheddar, Colby, and mozzarella cheese. I just thought that would melt really well. You can use cheddar, whatever low fat shredded cheese that you like. Think mac and cheese kind of flavors. And then we also have 3 cups of cooked spaghetti squash that's shredded here. That spaghetti squash was cut in half, roasted in the oven at 350 for about 30 minutes, and then we shredded that out. And then I have 6 cups of baby spinach that are also going to go into this dish, and those are going to help with the greens. The last thing that's going to go in here, I actually forgot to get out of the refrigerator. It's going to have some Parmesan cheese on top before I get to put in the oven. Grab that. Make sure it's in the refrigerator. Alright, so let me make sure you guys have a good look at the green onions in the skillet. There we go. So these are starting to get a little bit of color to them, and that's what I want. As you guys have heard me say before, brown food tastes good. So to finish out this meal, like I said, you'll need to add a little more green, and you'll need to add 2/3 of the lean. I'm actually going to just season some chicken breasts with some Mrs. Dash and sear them off in this other cast iron skillet to finish out our meal. But I'm not going to be demonstrating that. You can do that on your own. Alright, so these are starting to come together. Okay, and to this I'm going to add the 2 cups plain unsweetened almond milk, and then a cup of the fat-free low-sodium chicken stock. I prefer stock over broth. I think it has a lot more flavor. And then we're going to kind of let this come to a little bit of a simmer. We're going to add in the 1/2 teaspoon of pepper and salt. I'm going to grab the salt first so I don't accidentally put the pepper in with it. And grab the pepper. This kind of looks like chowder or potato soup over here in the skillet right now. Quite good enough. And that's why I really think the pepper will be a nice addition. Add a lot of flavor to this dish. You can reduce the amounts of that if you prefer, or you can add some fresh herbs. I actually had some fresh thyme and fresh parsley that I thought about using instead of the salt and pepper, but I was trying to stick as close to the original recipe that Angie tagged me in as I could. So we got that going in there. And then to this, we're going to add the 4 tablespoons of light cream cheese. I also thought about using 4 wedges of black cacao in place of the light cream cheese. But I have found through my experimentation that it seems like cream cheese melts into these things a little bit better than the Laughing Cow. It just must be the texture or what it's made from or something, but they just seem to melt a little bit better. And as you notice, I'm using a slotted spoon when I'm putting this together because I wanted to be able to break up the cream cheese better, and I didn't want to put a whisk in. I was afraid it would be a little too messy for a whisk. This just helps break that up. And as I say that, and as soon as I splash some on me. Now, if you're preparing this in something that is not oven safe, like the cast iron skillet, you're going to want to get a baking dish ready and have it sprayed with a little bit of cooking spray, because this is going to get poured into that to go into the oven. It's a lot of liquid there. Now, normally when you're making some kind of cheese sauce, and this recipe called for actually flour, but with or almond flour, I believe, but the amount of flour that we're allowed to have in our condiment list wouldn't really been enough to thicken this. So that's why I decided to try the light cream cheese. And I'm actually going to let it cook down before adding the shredded cheese. So I'm actually going to let this kind of come to a simmer and kind of simmer down and reduce the liquids down a little bit. It's going to concentrate the flavors and naturally thicken that way. Okay, so it's going to come to a boil. I'm going to keep stirring it, breaking up that cream cheese, getting it incorporated. Keep it from scorching on the bottom. Almond milk has a pretty high protein content, as we all know, and it will burn a little easier than regular milk. So I'm just going to turn that heat down a little bit. And you can kind of see how it's starting to get just a little bit thicker just by the way it's coating the spoon and coating the pan. Keep this down on low now that it's a nice simmer. I'm going to continue to stir it. So as it reduces, it's just going to cook a little bit more of the water out of the liquids. And I'm going to pause the video and continue to cook this. And I'll let you know the time frame here in a moment. Okay, so this has been reduced in about 5 minutes. We're going to add something to help thicken this up a little bit more. A packet of sour cream and chive Optavia mashed potatoes. And I'm going to sprinkle these in. And I actually am going to use a whisk for this. Into this liquid and whisk it in very quickly so it can kind of act as a thickener in the sauce before we add in the cheese. And just kind of help tighten this up. So since it's going to be 6 servings, it's only 1/6 of the fueling. So I don't know if you would really want to even subtract that from one of your other fuelings or not. That's completely up to you. I know with the extra steps that I've been getting in lately that for one, I'm not going to worry about the extra. Let's see, what would that be? 1/6 of 100 calories. Get that all whisked in. Okay. Looks more like chowder now, doesn't it? Alright, now I'm going to slowly add in 8 ounces of low-fat shredded cheese, keeping that on low. I'm going to keep the whisk in. Yeah, I know, I said I wasn't going to use one of those earlier, didn't I? Changed my mind. Whoopsie, I got a little more on it once than I wanted. Get that stirred in and incorporated. Good. This is a really clumped up cheese in here. Not big old chunks. That's more like what a cheese sauce should be. I'm saying that 5 times fast. All right, so we're going to add in spaghetti squash. Think of this as noodles. Excuse me. And get this out of here. That is just spaghetti squash. Strains will wrap right up in there. Get those all in here coated without breaking them up too much or spilling it all over the stove. This is why I always have a paper towel or rag handy, because I'm terrible at making messes like that. Start adding the spinach a little bit at a time, because as it cooks, it's going to shrink up in here. So it gets hot in the sauce. Trying to, like I said, stir it in without breaking up the spaghetti squash strands too much. Spinach is going to add a lot of nice color to this, a lot of good nutrients. Oh, my vacuum cleaner is coming this way. I thought I had her put up. Hey Mike, what? Will you put the Bobby back on her charger? I bought for myself a robot vacuum. It's called a Bobby Sweep. A lot less expensive than a Roomba. And I absolutely love it, except that I sent her cleaning before I started cooking and then kind of forgot about her and then tried to get back on the charger, but apparently I didn't send her back the right direction. So she's still trying to clean the floors. Okay. Oops. Alright, so we're going to get the rest of this stirred down in here, and then we're going to sprinkle about a tablespoon of Parmesan cheese across the top, and then we're going to stick it in the preheated 375 degree oven and bake it until it's bubbly. Since it's already warm, everything is hot, that shouldn't take too long. I'm going to guess about 10 or 15 minutes, and I kind of want it to get golden on top with the cheese and the Parmesan. All evenly distributed, so you don't have little pockets of spaghetti squash without spinach and vice versa. Alrighty, so I'm just going to kind of flatten this all down in here into the pan so nothing's sticking up to get brown. I thought about adding some sun-dried tomatoes in this too. That would be really good, I think, addition. You can count that as some more green. Extra cheese stuck to the spoon here. We'll make sure that gets down in there. Oops, better turn that off. Okay. And then I'm going to guesstimate a tablespoon of Parmesan cheese because I didn't measure it out and grate it ahead of time, so I'm just going to give a thin coating in there. It takes a lot of grating to get a tablespoon of Parmesan cheese, believe it or not. And if we have a little bit extra, it's not that big of a deal because we're under on the number of condiments for this dish anyway. Alrighty. Take that. Nasty little glove here. Let's put in the oven for 10 or 15 minutes. And I believe that can stay on there. Okay, back to show you the finished product. Okay, so here we have the finished product. This has been in the oven for 15 minutes. A little soupier than I would have liked. And like I said, it's 6 servings, so I'm going to try to figure out about how much that would be. Very rich looking dish anyway. Alright, there you have it. A little soupier than I would have liked, but let's hope it evokes the taste of cheesy baked spaghetti. Let's see here.